All right.
All right. Ready.
This is the Jack Stories Podcast, a show where Jack tells me stories. And I'm David.
And I'm Jack.
What do you have for us this time?
Well, David, after a long hiatus, I've decided to bring the just most highbrow story I can. This is going to be one of those for those people with a really discriminating sense of humor. You know, not this lowbrow Jim Carrey kind of talk. It's all about, ideals today. Or maybe not. So our story takes place, I believe, in, 2019, we'll say. So I'd been a nurse 9 months, coming up on a year, something like that. And there's this weird life cycle for new nurses. I won't say all of them. It was this way for me. I've noticed it to be this way for a lot of people, where you start out knowing nothing. You're totally fish on land, just terrified that you're going to kill your patients, and you're behind on every task. And it's just stressful. And then after a little while, you start getting competent at the job, and you feel pretty good about the tasks. And that's a funny place to be because your judgment is not always very good. So now I've been nursing almost 8 years. I look at some of the things I would do and be like, why? That's just a crazy thing to do. But at the time, I didn't really think about how crazy it was. So enough introduction. There I was. And it's the middle of the pandemic also. This is a big part of it. So, maybe not the middle, but the beginnings of the pandemic. And I'm on the COVID side of the ER where basically we had to wear these jumpsuits. And the jumpsuit at this time, because we were getting supplies from different people who just had things, right? So I think in this case, I believe it was from some type of software company, I think. It was like a zip-up plastic jumpsuit, ankles, wrists, and neck. And you would zip it up, and this protects your whole body, right? So if you get droplets of COVID on yourself, you won't be sick. And we had masks and goggles and things. And then you have to remember at this time, you really had no idea what COVID would do and how contagious was it and that kind of thing. But the big thing that I remember was these jumpsuits were so hot. I mean, it's just a plasticky kind of fabric. Anytime you would unzip after wearing it for a little while, you would just be wet. Like your skin and your scrubs are just a little bit wet, and you're like, oh, God, I'm so gross. So I'm zipped up, and we have an ambulance coming in, and the ambulance gives me some kind of generic story like, oh, this guy, we'll call him Mr. Willie. He's been feeling sick. His stomach hurts, 2 or 3 days, and, we didn't get a whole lot of story out of him. And I'm like, hey, Mr. Willie, how are you? And he just looks over at me and he goes, my stomach hurts so bad. And his voice was like that. Like it was this kind of quavering, high-pitched voice that makes you want to laugh. But you don't want to laugh at the guy's voice, right? He's in a lot of pain. So he's like, I'm feeling so bad. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go and tell the doctors and we'll get everything figured out. And I start an IV and get blood and do a bunch of things. And I'm like, all right, man, see you later. Fast forward 20, 30 minutes. I'm coming back to check on him, just looking through the glass, and he's asleep, just knocked out. No signs of discomfort. The doctor and I talk about it, and he's like, yeah, he was asleep when I went in. And then when I woke him up, he's, oh, my stomach hurts so bad. And then, the doctor would leave, and after a little while, I'd look in, and he's asleep again, which I'm not saying means there wasn't any pain, but it's maybe not the most consistent way of showing pain. In any case, they're like, you know what, let's give him some medicines and we'll make sure he's doing okay and then we'll scan his belly. So I come back in to give the medicines, and as soon as I walk in the door, I'm like, hey, Mr. Willie, he's up and awake, and I feel something in my stomach, it hurts. I'm like, cool, man, well, let's give you the medicine. And I give it to him. And right about then was when everything just kind of turned left, because at the time, I could smell a little bit better than I do now. My nose now is just ruined. But at the time, I could still smell some things. And I was, Mr. Willie, what is that smell? And part of me is thinking maybe I farted in just the jumpsuit I'm wearing, and I'm now catching a whiff of it. But in the back of my mind, I was like, I didn't fart, and I know it. I'm like, Mr. Willie, what's that smell? And he's like, I think I might have shit myself. And I was like, oh no, Mr. Willie. And he's like, I thought I was passing gas. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I mean, because here's the thing. I am just going to say for me, but I think a lot of us out there have probably, had a bowel movement on ourselves when we meant to fart. You thought you farted, but you shit. And maybe it wasn't that much, just a little squirt here or there, and, maybe just a little, but it's not, it's not crazy. It's no big deal, right? You maybe need to just change your pants. I'm like, fine. I can help this guy change his pants. No big deal. I was also not doing what every nurse should, which is to undress your patients immediately because, I'm going to be real, in the ER, that's just crazy. You don't do that all the time. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. So he's still wearing his blue jeans. So I'm like, all right, man, let's get these blue jeans off and see what we're dealing with, right? And remember, he said that he thought he was passing gas. So, I'm expecting just a little squirt or something. We unzip the blue jeans. I'm helping him to pull them down, and he's not able to stand up because he says he feels weak. So we pull the pants down, and it is hip to ankle poop. Just both legs. Just totally covered in poop. I'm like, dude, what is this? And in my head, I'm like, bro, there are a couple ways of measuring poop, right? Like there's, I had a bowel movement. Or like, I had a little squirt. A small amount. Then you're like, I had a bowel movement. I took a dump. That's like, one log. Then there's like, I took a big old shit. Like a huge, like a mega dump. It's one of those like you take a picture of because like, where could that have come from? Like my entire intestines couldn't be that large. I don't know if anyone else does, but sometimes I really want to brag about those. Be like, wow, man, I did that. Like a horse would be proud of that. It was like that. Hip to ankles. I'm just like, Mr. Willie, oh my God. And he's like, I thought I was passing gas. I'm like, no way, dude. This is multiple bowel movements. Like, this isn't just one. This is multiple. And he's like, oh, I'm so embarrassed. I'm like, clearly not embarrassed enough. Like, what? They're like, all right, you know what? We're going to figure it out. No big deal. I got you. No problem. So I leave the room and unzip, and I'm just gathering supplies, like a basin of water, multiple towels, a huge bar of soap, like so many supplies. And all the other nurses are kind of looking at me do this and silently fuming to myself. A good partner might have offered and been like, hey, man, do you want some help in there? I'm pretty busy, but do you need help in there? I got a lot going on, but do you maybe need my help? No one offered, of course. And to be fair, I might not have either. I'd been like, oh, that looks really bad. Too bad. I gotta give some medicine next door. I would help, but I gotta give medicine, what can I do? And I wasn't mad about it. I was like, fine, I got this. Mr. Willie's not that big. He can, clean himself. I was such an innocent young lad. So I come back in the room, and I've got all the soap and supplies and stuff. I'm like, all right, Mr. Willie, go ahead and soap down. I'll pass you things as you need them. And he's like, okay. He like reaches out to grab it. And mind you, from the voice, you might be assuming Mr. Willie's like 99 and frail. No, he's like 50. He's like a normal adult. To look at him, there's nothing wrong with this man. So he like reaches out, grabs the washcloth, and then is like, I'm too weak. I can't. I'm like, my friend, we are going to have to figure this out. Like, I don't think I'm going to wipe you off. Like, you're going to have to do some of this yourself. So I'm like, let's do this. I'm going to have you stand up, and then you can do it. So I, like, spread some, like, absorbent pads on the floor, and I have him stand up. And I already was knowing that this is going to go sideways. But it went sideways. Because Mr. Willie starts doing this thing that in my head I call, like, the I'm going to fall dance. Where he's like, whoa, and like acts unsteady, and then whoa, acts unsteady. But you notice he never actually is going to fall over. He just seems unsteady. So it's kind of like, okay, do you need help standing up? And he's like, yes, I'm so weak. So I'm like, all right, lean forward and hold on to the counter. There's like a little countertop with a sink. I'm like, just hold on. I'm like, okay, spread your legs. And it's as if I'm going to like frisk him down, except he doesn't have any pants on and he's, covered in poop. I was like, all right, you know what? At this point, in the interest of time and my own sanity, I'm just going to do it for him. So he's standing there with his legs spread, and I get the washcloths and I'm scrubbing him down and just thinking to myself, man, this is weird. I think that this guy could do it himself. Why does he want me to do it? What kind of sick thing is going on here? This is just wrong. But also I'm like, all right, it's not that big of a deal, whatever. So I finish doing it. I'm like, all right, then, you get back in bed. And I'm like, and listen, there's a toilet in the corner of the room. If this happens again, you're on your own. You're going to have to figure it out. You get one wipe down with me. And he was like, okay. And I leave the room and just fuming inside that son of a, he managed to get me to wipe him down, and that's just wrong. What's funny to me now looking back is if this happened today, I'd be like, oh no, man. That looks real bad. Here's all the supplies, and I'll see you later to let me know how it goes. I remember once at Grady, we had a guy who we were discharging, and he didn't want to leave. And he, intentionally pooped himself, and I was like, all right, there's a bathroom in the waiting room. Here's some wipes. I hope you figure it out. I just left it. Which, mind you, that might have been a little too far on one end. There's the compassionate end, where you can go too far and you do everything for the patient. Then there's the not compassionate end, where you do nothing for the patient. Somewhere in the middle is a good place to be. But to this day, every now and then, I'll just think to myself, I thought I was passing gas. And it's oh my God. What was going on there? I wish that I could go back and just know what was happening. That's my story, and I am sticking to it.
Every good podcast has a part in the middle that they tell you something you don't really care about. And normally that would be an ad break. But since we don't have any sponsors, we're just going to tell you something stupid. So, I have a confession. Something terrible that I did a little while ago. And if you see me in the street and you decide to spit on me and kick dust up at me after hearing this, I will have no protest. But not a little while ago, Jack and his beautiful family came to my house and we're hanging out and we ate and walked around the block and we're just hanging out and stuff. And there was something else going on that I never told anyone. I had one of those 2-pound bags of dry mango in the house. And I didn't tell anyone it was there. It was unopened. It wasn't like it was halfway gone and you want to save the rest for yourself. It was just there. And I kept it all for myself. It's just pure wickedness. So, yeah.
Man, that is pretty wicked. God. But also extremely understandable. If this week's episode is brought to you by dried mango, it's brought to you by the best thing there is. Oh, God.
Yeah, at Costco, they have that whole, wall of dry mangoes.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I will say, I am cut to the quick. Wow, one of my closest friends has showed me his heel. But also, yeah, I totally get it. Man, that's a really good thing to have. And not wanting to share it makes a lot of sense. So one thing, and this is something that I was laughing about with one of my friends the other day. Our friend group used to be a bunch of single guys who were all pretty awkward with girls. I don't think any of us had girlfriends for more than a little while in high school. Yeah, you had a girlfriend for a little bit in high school. Yeah. But I would say that most of us were not, we weren't dating around a whole lot in high school. And then all of a sudden, we all graduated college, were single for a little while, and then all of us got married. I think in a friend group of 8, 5 are married now? And every now and then, after the boys hang out, one of us will ask a question over Discord or in text or something, and all the men realize that's actually the wife talking. It might be the man that typed it, but it's the wife talking. I'm thinking particularly of Josiah. once asked, I think he asked Devin a question about their baby, and I was like, that's not Josiah. That's a Chloe question. So my wife, Sarah, wanted us to give an update to you, our listeners. This is not a David and Jack thing. This is more of a wife-driven initiative. So if you hate it, blame our wives. I already do. We might edit that out and just put it on the Patreon feed.
Instead of philosophizing about pooping on yourself.
I don't have too many thoughts on the matter. I mean, it's gross and also funny. Like,
We can just. I guess I wanted to try making the podcast, because Jack always has a lot of good stories, and I like the figuring out the sound system stuff and just trying to figure stuff out. And so it worked pretty well. So my original goal was to do 2 episodes at least per year. So that way we have an excuse to hang out and we can record something, maybe invite some other people to do some episodes and stuff. And then, but last year we did a bunch. I guess we did 4.
yeah.
So that worked out well. And I think we can still get 2 this year. But, we got busy. Jack already had 1 kid when we started. And now he has another. And I have 1. So, yeah.
It was a crazy stretch. I mean, at the end of last year, because when was your son born? In December?
Yep.
Yeah. So in October, our daughter was born a month early. So she was supposed to come in November, but instead she was born in October. And so we just kind of did what most parents do when they have a newborn. It just kind of disappeared from all engagements and everything else. And people who have children or have helped out when others have children kind of know, like, yeah, that's kind of what happens. So we were out, and then David and Joy's son arrived in December. So y'all were out. And then, I mean, oh my goodness, your life changes so much after your first kid. And going from 1 to 2, at least in my experience, is not as big of a shift as 0 to 1. But that first child, when you have them, I mean, your whole life changes. All of your scheduling is different. You already kind of have to navigate your spouse's schedule when you get married. But they're an adult, and you can kind of figure it out. Like, and they're not going to starve if you forget to plan for their meals. But then you've got this totally helpless thing that depends on you and that is more important to you than anything else. And suddenly you're like, whoa, my life is just not what I thought it was, I don't know if that was your experience, but that was how it went for me when Paul came. And then when Abby came, it was even more crazy. What else happened in the last year?
That's all I can remember.
Yes, that is exactly right. Man, yeah, that was a lot. That was a lot. I'll give you guys a mini story about Abigail coming. So when we were getting ready to have my son, our first child, I guess this is almost 2 years ago, I was convinced he was going to arrive in the middle of the night when I was at work. I was positive of it. And at the time I worked overnight. So Sarah and I had this whole plan. She would call me at work on my phone. And if that didn't work, she would call the secretary. And if that didn't work, she would call the charge nurse. And if all 3 failed, she would just call one of her friends and they'd go to the hospital. And I would meet them there. And I was sure that that was how it was going to go. Whether I was going to get the call and leave right away or find out a few minutes later and leave from work and meet her there, I was positive that was how it would happen. And instead, our doctor scheduled for an induction and just told us, hey, you guys need to deliver the baby this weekend. Things are just not trending the right way with the blood pressure, so just deliver the baby. So we, got lunch, went home, fed the dog, made some plans, kind of arranged things, and then we were like, well, guess we're going to the hospital now. I mean, is there anything else we want to do? Maybe watch an episode of, The Office or something? Nah, let's just go. So it was the most chill, planned out thing. I mean, I could have sat down and played some Age of Empires if I wanted to before we went. So I guess I had that in my mind with Abigail with our daughter. And instead, I had the classic experience. So I'm laying in bed, dead to the world because I sleep super hard. And then Sarah just starts poking my back, and I eventually wake up and I'm like, what? She's like, there's like water in the bed. And, you know, my brain is still not really online, but I heard water in the bed, and I'm like, uh-oh, that wait a minute. That sounds like your water might have broken. So I turn on the light, roll over, and there is just, I mean, it was like a liter, like a whole Stanley cup of just fluid in the bed. And I was like, oh, okay. And I go from, 2% awake looking at it to 99% awake, probably in that moment just of, okay, well, the baby's coming right now. So I was like, all right, get your stuff, Sarah. We're going to the hospital. Like, that's it. So then we wake up my mom, because I live with my mom currently, and she goes from 0% awake to 100% awake immediately. We're like, Mom, Sarah's water's broken. We're going to the hospital. And she just goes, and her eyes open. She's like, do you have a phone charger? Have you packed everything? Is there gas in the car? I'm like, yes. All of those are good questions. We actually have all of that taken care of. And how are you possibly this awake? She's like, don't worry about anything else. We'll take care of everything. I've already got babysitters lined up for your son. Y'all just go. I was like, oh, okay. So we drove to the hospital and ended up having the baby a little bit later. She was early, so she went to the NICU. And at some point, I'll tell you guys more about the story, like the whole story. But for me, just the change from what I expected to what I got with my son, and then what I expected and what I got with my daughter I thought that was pretty funny.
Some things go exactly how you think they're going to go. You don't know how to change a diaper, all this and that, but it turns out that changing a diaper is just exactly what you thought it was going to be.
It's exactly what you expect.
There's nothing complex.
Yeah, there's no mystery there.
And there's a lot of stuff like that. But some of the little things that you don't think about as much, just like consistently waking up at 5 or something, it just starts getting to you.
Yeah.
And then you just learn, you adapt, and you learn how to go to bed at 9 and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. What was something that you found much easier during y'all's postpartum, and then something that you found much harder than you expected? So easier than you expected, harder than you expected.
I think that figuring out the schedule and I didn't have any leave. I just had 2 weeks of vacation. So going back to work and stuff was difficult, but easier than I thought it would be. I think it's been harder to have friends and keep up with hobbies and stuff. It's so easy to just be like, oh, I don't have time to do anything else.
Yeah.
And just only be home, and it's not very healthy.
That is really hard. I mean, this is the first time, not the only time we've hung out since our kids were born, but I think this is maybe the only time the two of us have met together without a child with us or the wives with us. Maybe since the last podcast.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, and that's, I think that's part of how life changes when you have children. But you're right. I had no idea just how difficult it was is to keep up with some of the hobbies and keep up with some of the friendships. It's challenging.
Yeah, part of it's kind of nice, learning how to just have fun with your family. Because sometimes it's just not realistic every week to try and go do something that you want to do. But it can be a lot of fun just to be with your family. Yeah. But it's just you need to do the things that you like doing once in a while.
And I think, too, it is important. There are people in our lives that I think it's hard to say it correctly. The term that keeps coming to my mind is a very Christian idea of like you're called into their life. Like you have a calling to be part of their life. And the other thing that comes to my mind is you almost have an obligation to some of your friends where it's like, look, we've been friends since we were like kids, right? 10, 12. Like I owe you a little bit for that, right? And you owe me a little bit for that. Like it wouldn't be right for us to just forget and never hang out again.
Yeah, just because it's a little bit less convenient.
Yeah, just because it's harder. But it is hard. I mean, on days when you've been at work all day and then you get back and you realize your wife has just been engaged in a nonstop war with your children, just an emotional struggle, you're like, well, maybe I shouldn't leave you alone for more of this so I can go see my friends, right? That doesn't feel quite right. And I have not figured out the balance quite yet. So if anybody has mastered this, you know where to email us at, maybe. But yeah, that's hard. That is a hard balance to make.
What are updates?
I'm getting, Lord willing, I'll be doing school in the fall to do nurse practitioner. So some of the stories I tell might actually get a little different, hopefully, if things work out. That'll be good. That's why we ended up selling our house and moving in with my mom, was so that that could be possible. And I'll tell you, to everybody out there who doesn't really move back in, does not want to move back in with your parents in your 30s, I get it. Totally get it. But I have only good things to say about living with my mom. She's the best roommate ever, which is so weird. And, you know, I think that one of the things I have learned since doing that is sometimes your ego just wants to lead you into a place that is totally insane. So don't let it do that. If moving back in with your parents is what you need to do financially and is the thing that allows you to get a much better job or go back to school or even, shoot, if that's what you have to do just because you can't afford not to, do it. Like embrace that decision. It's not, well, I hope it's not a mark of failure and that all my friends behind my back aren't just laughing at me and wagging their heads and saying, aha, aha. They might be. But that's been good, honestly. And I mean, I'll tell you this. Living with your parents, if you can make it work, it is the ultimate hack with children. Like, my kids love their grandma so much more than us. And that's fine. I am all about it. I love when they sprint over to her and they go, Baba, Baba. And I'm like, very good. Now it's time for Dad to sit down and look at his phone for a minute or whatever else I'm doing. Usually that.
Yeah, it's good to be able to realize the smartest choice is not what you want to do and do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll say this much. For people who are thinking about having kids, it is just the best thing you can do. And that I remember when I was single and not married, and then when even I wasn't married for very long without children, but I remember when I was single, not really understanding that and not being very impressed with that idea. You're like, well, yeah, I mean, you'll say that now that you have kids. I don't think the goodness of parenthood takes away from what you can do with your life without children. I mean, everybody can have a really impactful and really, really good life, no matter your situation. But if you think kids are for you and you're in a situation where you can have them with a good person, oh, go for it. Like, it's great. 10 out of 10 would recommend. And the ways that my life has changed, at least, I'm really happy about. A lot of the things that I thought I would miss out on, and a lot of the ways that, because, you know, you look at parents and their kids and you're like, dude, you spend all of your time almost doing stuff for your kids. You don't have a whole lot of interests yourself. And I mean, your kids, like, what do they give you in return, right? Like, is that fun? And the answer is, yeah, kind of. Like, kids are actually that fun. And just, I have enjoyed seeing how much value and, like, how much reward I get just from playing with my son or feeding my baby. Like, I mean, you get a whole lot back from it in ways that are kind of hard to describe until you've experienced it. I don't know. Do you think is that a fair representation of it?
Yeah, I think for me, just getting married, I don't have a big motivation to like have a big career or something like that. But when you're doing something with someone else, then you're a little bit more motivated to do a good job. But then also you're a little bit more motivated to be like, oh, I'm just going to try something completely different. It's a little bit weird how you're like, I don't need to find my fulfillment in this job because I have a fulfilling relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So I might be willing to do a very different job. And a kid is like just a whole other level of that. It's a little bit more daunting because if you stop making money, the consequences are a lot worse. So in one way, it can kind of like shackle you into secure income. But it also makes, like, you're willing to deal with, if being at work is a little annoying or your boss is kind of a pain or something, it's just like doesn't bother you that much, which is kind of nice. I guess it can be a trap. Some people can just be miserable at work. They're like, well, I'm doing it for my kids, which is sad. But it just doesn't get to you that much because you have a fulfilling relationship outside of work. I think a lot of people have a lot to contribute to society and humanity. And one of the things that most people can contribute really well is relationship. Like there's something bigger than one person that is just the relationship of more than one person.
Mm-hmm.
And marriage and kids are just like the ultimate version of that.
That's really well said.
But it's not for everybody. I mean, some people, they have a lot to contribute that's not necessarily a relationship. I think for me, the relationships is a huge part of like how I know I'm doing what I should be doing. And so having a kid and stuff is really helpful to know that I'm on the right path or something.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. It's something I find myself having to remember over and over because, and I think some of this is personality, but I will find that I just set these really weird and usually unattainable goals or kind of benchmarks to see if I'm doing enough or doing okay. And then I look up and I'm like, man, why is this what I decided? Like, did I work out 5 times this week? When it's not realistic that I would be able to do that. And if I didn't, I failed. This was a terrible week. And it's like, dude, your kids were fed and healthy and clean, right? Your wife still likes you. Your friends still like you. This was an okay week, right? And you made money at work. Like, this was a fine week. Everything else, that's just extra. It's something I think about a lot, too. I love how you said the relationship is something everyone can contribute. And I've always thought that friendship falls in with that. Do you remember at youth group? This is literally, 17 years ago now, maybe? Like, we're both about 30, right?
Yeah.
And our old youth leader, Nathan, and Carter, they were the greatest youth leaders I think that probably ever lived. They come in, and Carter's like, this week I'm going to teach the high schoolers all about sex. And everyone's, whoa. And then Nathan's like, and I'm going to teach the middle schoolers all about friendship. And it was such a funny moment. And that, I think, when I was that age, that is exactly how it felt. Sex is super interesting and friendship is super boring. But I can tell you that the friendships I had at that time, especially, I still have a lot of them. Those were the best things I had then and some of the best things I have now. And just friendship itself is just this amazing, awesome thing that everyone is able to enjoy. And sometimes, you make a friend in a moment and it's the best thing in your life for that whole time. I think a lot about someone real close to me who's in jail right now and has a really good cellmate, like somebody that he can trust, someone that is not going to try and rob him or hurt him or anything like that. And, you know, they have a few things in common. They both happen to be in jail and in the same cell. I think they both have about the same amount of time left on their sentence. And that's enough. That's enough to make a real friendship for them. And, I mean, theoretically, I haven't gotten a lot of the details, but it sounds like they've both been in fights together, like watching each other's back. I'm like, dude, that's about as real and close as a friendship gets outside of maybe marriage. And something like that can happen in an instant, right? But friendship is I think one of the highest things anyone can have. I mean, how many times have you made friends with someone online playing a video game and you're like, wow, I think I just made a real friend. Like, we might actually keep playing games, and maybe you do, maybe you don't. But in that moment, you're like, I have a friend. I don't know where I'm going with any of that, but if you got it, invest in it and keep it. And if you don't have it, I'm praying for you. Try and find it.
Mm-hmm. There's one of my friends from high school we would argue about. Is it better to call a friend a brother or to call a brother a friend? Like, which is more of a compliment?
Ooh.
And to me, the obligation is actually better. Like, I would rather a friend think of me as a brother because there's like an obligation in the relationship. But my friend, he would always say it's actually better for your brother to be a friend because you just choose to like each other. It's like, I don't know if you have to choose one or the other, but it's interesting to think about that. Like, marriage is like you have a whole ceremony for the covenant to like actually make a deal with another person. You don't do that with a friend, but I don't know. It's interesting to think about the difference between just making friends and making like a promise to someone. And there's kind of like unspoken things, like you were talking about earlier. When you get really busy, you kind of have a bit of an obligation to someone just because you've known them for so long to not just get too busy to catch up with them once in a while. But I guess it's good to think about how those relationships matter and what is like the ideal version of them when you get super busy. And it's kind of nice. I mean, it would be tough to be as busy as you are with a 3-month-old your whole life. But a season of it helps you realize what is really taking priority. Because there's still a little bit of time. And you're going to just decide what you're going to do with that time. And, like, I think my biggest hobby right now is walking my dog. Because I can do it. Like, if I wake up early enough, I can walk him, and I enjoy it. And, yeah, there's no end. It's just nice to take a walk. But I could be doing something else. I could be playing video games. I could wake up early to play video games or, call someone or, I don't know, build model trains. But you find out what you really like doing when a lot of your time is taken away.
Mm-hmm. That's something I think about a fair bit. One of the best things I had going on when Paul was born was I would do the night shift for feeding because I was already going to be awake. I was working night shift at the time. And we had rescued a dog who needed a fair bit of exercise. So I would go on these 30-minute, sometimes 45-minute walks with the dog and the baby at 1 and 2 a.m. And it was awesome. Like, it was in the winter time, so it was pretty cold. I mean, it's Georgia, so it's never crazy cold. But it was amazing. Like, it's totally silent. It's pretty dark. Just me, the baby, and the dog walking around. Most of the time I would listen to books. A lot of the times I wouldn't listen to anything. It would just be just the darkness. But it was nice. Like, that's something I think about pretty fondly often. And at the time, I don't know if I thought I was very happy in the moment because I was tired and sleepy. But now I'm like, man, I was having a blast. Like, that was great. There's just something about walking a dog I think that's really good.
Twice Joy went on work trips for over a week for both of them. And so I was alone with the baby for a while. And I don't know how single parents survive more than a few days. I mean, I got a lot of help from grandma and, friends, and a lot of people offered to help. So it worked out, but it's pretty hard to figure out. But then it is a sweet time where you do everything for days in a row, like always waking up together, going to sleep at the same time and everything. Being able to keep something alive on your own. It's I don't know how to describe when you can, like, kind of pass the test. It's just like, this is a super difficult thing. It's hard to figure out. You haven't done it before. And then, it's brutal. But at the end, you made it through. And then also just how close I feel, like that time is kind of nostalgic. And thinking about my son and being with him during that time is really special.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's something that, I've been really blessed with my son. And just the way that my life is with work and scheduling, I have several days every week where I'm home, right? I don't have to go to work. And most of those days I spend with my son. Like, we'll play together, we'll eat together, we'll do stuff together. When he goes down for a nap, I have a little time to myself. It's awesome. It's been one of the best things for his and my relationship, but just one of the best things in my life where you're right, like, you just are so connected with this little guy, and you're like, wow, like, I don't know. And I forget, how old is your son now?
Almost 7 months.
Okay, yeah. So, and this is something that I know was big for me around that time, around like the 6-month mark. But like, you start noticing like the things that he wants, and like you start getting in sync with his mood, and you kind of know like what's going on internally for him, and you're like, wow, like, I really want to help you be happy. And if you're upset, I want to try and help you to get through that and hopefully not be so upset. Like, that is a great feeling, just to kind of know, like, oh, he's mad. Like, maybe his diaper is dirty, or maybe he's hungry, or maybe something's hurting him, or maybe he's just got big feelings right now for some reason. I love that. Like, it's amazing. It gets even crazy when they're more of a toddler, and when they start talking. Dude, it is so fun when they're talking and you're like, oh, I just cracked the code. You're asking me for water. I understand what, like, the noise you make that sounds kind of like water. I now know what it is. And something Paul will do is, and he kept doing this. It was like a week or two where he would make this noise. We didn't know what it was. He'd be like, I want this. And he would go, we're like, what do you want? And he would like point. He'd be like, this. But like, when a toddler points, it's the whole half of the room. So you're like, well, great. Eventually I put it together and I was like, that is milk. He wants milk. And his word for milk is because he uses a straw to blow bubbles into milk. And try it out at home. If you use a straw to blow bubbles into water, it'll bubble, but it doesn't leave bubbles. The bubbles don't stick around. In milk, they do. So it's a lot more fun. So he mostly blows bubbles in milk, and blowing bubbles sounds kind of like it was one of those moments where I had just a flash of insight. I was like, oh, it's milk. And I gave it to him and he was like, yay. I was like, I am the greatest parent who ever lived. Like, moments like that were just like, wow, I'm having some real mind meld with I mean, at the time, I think he was like 14 or 15 months. And you're like, this might be my greatest triumph. It's so silly.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But, I mean, I feel like those moments start right around now where, like, you start to understand, like, what your son needs, what he wants. Am I right? Like, I feel like that was around that time with Paul, like the 6-month mark.
Yeah, I think now he's able to, like, formulate a thought and want something.
Mm-hmm.
But he can't communicate at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes there is something that is specific that he wants, and you just try 5 things.
Yeah, you give him this toy, and then you rub some medicine on his gums, and he's like, ah. You're like, oh, that was it. There we go.
Yeah. And also with the routines, he's pretty good at, like, doing stuff in the same order. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes he wants it a little bit earlier, a little bit later. And so that helps a lot.
Yeah, that's big.
Joy's good about keeping track of the routines. Because then if he's crying and it's getting close to time to eat, then he's probably hungry. If it's getting close to time for nap, he's just tired. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to guess as much.
I wonder if that's just a mom thing. Sarah is the routine maker, and like she just knows kind of what comes next with the kids. And I am the great agent of chaos. Like, I just can't seem to hold on to a routine and save my life. Oh my gosh. Like, maybe that's a mom thing. Maybe there are people who are just that way, but it's not me. Something I wanted to go back to with the brother question. I'm going to be thinking about that a lot because I really like that. And it's true. Like, I don't think you have to pick and choose between them. But I think the question, some of it comes back to what kind of brothers do you have if you have them? I know your brothers pretty well, and I would say you have really good brothers that all of y'all are friends, right? There's not one of the Ortega boys who is a real traitor, a real selfish guy, like wouldn't be a friend to his brothers. But I do know some people who their siblings are not to be counted on. They're just not very good people to each other. And I imagine that those people would rather their brothers call them friends and actually be friends than call their friends brothers. You know, brother for them doesn't have a great connotation. Whereas for me, like it's the same. Like I love the obligation and sort of it sounds hokey, but kind of the sacredness of the brother relationship. Like with my brothers, like there's not really a question in my mind of how much would they do for me or what circumstance would they be willing to help me in, or if I was in the wrong, would they still do their best for me? Like, oh yeah, 100%. That's just kind of how it is. And then there are friends like that, though. There are those friends where you're like, yeah, like even if I knew my friend had broken the law and now was on the run, there's a good chance I may still help them, knowing that they deserve to be punished for what they've done. But they're my friend. I'm going to try and help them, you know. Like I'm not going to encourage them to commit crimes, and I'm not going to enable them to commit crimes. But if they're in trouble and, you know, need a place to hide or lay low, I'll probably give them a couple nights, unless they've done something really bad that I can't get behind, and then, you know, you're on your own probably. I don't know. It's one of those strange things about relationships, but I think a lot of us, you know, you think about that really close friend and you're like, what would they have to do for me to close the door in their face and say, sorry, man, like you can't hole up with me. Like you can't stay while you're on the run. It's got to be pretty bad. Like there's a lot of things that I would be totally willing to be like, you know what? Yeah, you knocked over the bank and stole $100 million. Like, okay, fine. You know, that was a bad thing to do, but okay, you can stay here for a little bit.
Don't do it again.
Don't do it again. And like, you know what? As your friend, I think you should turn yourself in, but I'm not going to call the cops. Like that has to be your choice. I'm not gonna tell them where you are. I don't know. And maybe that's just the tribalist that lives deep inside me.
I had never really thought we had that much in common because I just have always thought that's just a normal way to think. But then whenever someone doesn't think that way, I'm like, oh, that's weird.
It's weird. And mind you, I don't know that I think that the way we think is the right way. I mean,
I don't know.
for a really well-adjusted society, I mean, maybe people are supposed to turn in their friends when they commit bad crimes, right? And as I say that out loud, I'm like, yeah, that sounds pretty reasonable. But the idea of not hiding David from the authorities after he commits, I don't know, some kind of bad crime, but not evil, right? Like I don't think I would help
evasion.
you. Right, a tax evasion? 100%, dude. I would help you. But like if you had like set fire to like a nursing home, sorry, bro, that's bad. I cannot help you there. But yeah, the idea of turning your back on a friend is, I mean, that's pretty foreign. That's hard to get behind. A great book, if people are looking for a novel to read, I've been rereading Kidnapped. I actually just finished it. Anything by Robert Louis Stevenson is amazing. The guy could not miss when it came to writing stories, but Kidnapped is really good. And I remember when I was young, maybe 10, I read the Great Illustrated Classics version. There was this like run of Great Illustrated Classics books that we all had with like good illustrations, and usually they got the stories about right. Kidnapped didn't work for me. I didn't get it at the time. It just was not interesting. I re-listened to it for the first time like this month and was like, this book is amazing. And one of the things that happens a lot in that book is the obligation between two friends, and just kind of the obligations that these Scottish people felt for each other, and like hiding each other from the law, and like sometimes taking crazy risks for people that they didn't really owe it to. It's cool. I don't know that it's always a good thing or a bad thing, but there's something about the obligations and like the honor to help others at the expense of your own safety. I don't know. That's always cool to me. That's always attractive to me.
All right. This has been the Jack Stories Podcast. Thanks for listening. And Jack, thanks for the story.
You're very welcome, David. This story was brought to you guys by the Pythagorean theorem. Remember, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Also, this story was brought to you by Panavision Electronics Unlimited. Panavision, if you want to send us money and be a sponsor, we would surely love that. And this story was also brought to you by Robert Louis Stevenson. Of all the short stories you could read right about now, his are the best.